International Women's Day continues to be a powerful platform globally that unifies tenacity and drives action for gender parity, while celebrating the social, cultural, and economic achievements of women. This year, the Parliament Channel highlights women in Trinidad and Tobago from all walks of life, including non-traditional sectors. We take a look at their journey, the challenges that were overcome, successes celebrated, and milestones achieved.
My name is Dr. Gabrielle Hosein. I'm the head of the Institute for Gender and Development Studies on the St. Augustine campus. I was lucky enough to be mentored by a whole generation of amazing Caribbean feminists, from Hazel Brown, Rhoda Reddock, Patricia Muhammad, Gayatri Pargas, Jackie Burgess. I mean, the list goes on, and not just in Trinidad, but also in Jamaica, Lynette Vassell from Jamaica, Cecilia Babb from Dominica, Peggy Antrobus from St. Vincent. I mean, I could name so many. And for me, I came here to the Institute for Gender and Development Studies through the inspiration that these feminist activists from another generation provided, and through the mentorship, and through just learning from them by getting involved. And today, although our work is academic, to produce research and to inform policy and to advise on everything from issues of sexual and reproductive health and rights and justice to issues of pay equality and pay equity. Even though our mandate is research and advocacy and movement building, for me, in my heart, I am here walking in their footsteps, which is to find the resources and the institutional support that the university can provide, and to turn that into continuing their struggle and advancing the gains that I learned from them and carry as my vision. Many institutions have mixed feelings about women's rights and the feminist struggle in the Caribbean, because it involves overturning the status quo. It involves challenging so much that we take to be normal and natural and essential, and involves redefining men and women, not in terms of being men and women, but in terms of being human beings, however it is they choose to be. And that sounds kind of simple, you know, let's all just be whoever it is we are and be equal and be safe and have equal rights. But actually, it can be quite radical for a lot of people. And so the university has always been a place where we're, on the one hand, accepted, but on the other hand, always have to continue to push for the curricula to include teaching students about a gender analysis up till today, for research to always take into account that women, men, boys, and girls live different lives as shaped by our beliefs and values about manhood and womanhood. And indeed, for us to take into account the different lives that women and men may live in terms of their care responsibilities, and the ways that those may even affect their careers in the university. So at all levels, whether looking at administration and advancement and promotion, looking at what we teach and curricula, and creating students that it doesn't matter what discipline you're in. You could be in engineering, you could be in sciences, you could be in social sciences. You live in a world in which gender matters, and it matters to every single person. We have to always give credit to the labor and the effort that went into getting us to a much more progressive place than we were 40 years ago, and to recognize that these are ordinary women and men, but ordinary women who have just worked for a greater good, and to acknowledge that. And yet issues remain. One that we always want to flag is the question of violence against women and girls. So male violence against women and girls remains an issue that affects at least 1/3 of women in Trinidad and Tobago. 1/3 of women report at least one experience of physical and sexual violence in their lifetime from their partners. And where that happens, whole families are affected, both boys and girls in the family, as well as, of course, the men who are perpetrators, but who likely themselves have experienced violence as children or witnessed it growing up. We know that women also experience pay inequality. So men make about $100,000 more than women on average per year in Trinidad and Tobago. That's even though women have been the majority of university graduates over the last 15 years, and it's considered a Caribbean paradox. Now, some might say that's because women go into lower paid sectors of the economy, such as being teachers or nurses or so on. But anywhere that there is segregation by race or by sex in a society, we have to ask questions about how our structural beliefs and our ways of implicitly dealing with different sexes and different races create such segregation. It's not normal for women and men to be in such unequal sectors of the economy. What is normal is for men and women as human beings to be equitably spread throughout occupations such as teaching and nursing, as well as things such as construction and energy. And so just those disparities, I think, remain ones that we have to tackle. For me, we always want to defend those who the majority of the population is least willing to defend. We want to take them and make sure that they know that someone out there believes that they should have rights too. The global theme is balance for better, but in Trinidad and Tobago, our theme is demand better. And that is because we're not interested in balance. Balance is a really risky word, because it means that where women are 60% of the student population at the university, that imbalance is considered to be a sign of men's inequality or discrimination against men of some kind, when that is not the case, right? So you have to be really careful about the words that we use, particularly in the Caribbean, in our local context. And so our language, demand better, is meant to create greater inclusivity. Every one of us in our lives would like something better, right? Some way that our lives could be improved by the transformation of our beliefs and values about manhood and womanhood. It could be in reducing levels of child sexual abuse and incest. You know, we have a right to demand better. It could be in the way that disabled girls and women face much higher levels of vulnerability, particularly in relation to sexuality. You know, we need to demand better in terms of persons with disabilities. It could be around rural women and challenges around transportation. Transportation is a feminist issue. When you have to depend on PH cars, when you don't have a public policy around transportation that takes into account women's greater vulnerability in public space, then you are putting them at risk, right? So we want to demand better in terms of transportation, coming with a gendered analysis about the citizens it needs to serve. And so our message, demand better, isn't about balance at all. It is about continuing to pursue justice in all its forms, in the simplest ways that women and men live their lives in the everyday, to the big issues around LGBT rights and citizenship and equity in political leadership, and what seem to be the big ticket items.
Women have come a long way, yet there's still more to be achieved. For more information on International Women's Day 2019, visit our website at ttparliament.org and our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram.